Hey guys, welcome back. This is another episode of my show, and we have the incredible, amazing, truly just world-changing Ziana Bryant. Thank you so much for being here again this week. Not shockingly, we are in the same outfits that we were last week because we are filming this on the same day. So there might be some different developments or different events that have happened that we are not aware of because we filmed this 2 weeks ago. So I just want to kind of clear that and clarify that so you guys know. But today, I really wanted to focus on an article that I read a few weeks ago that Ziana wrote for Teen Vogue. And I felt like this was so incredibly and especially timely. Was this something that you wrote on the fly as a reaction to that, or yes?
So a lot of students at my university were asking me, like, what can we do? What org should we be giving to? And so I felt myself, I'm actually working and I have internships this summer. And so like the day George Floyd's death became like a viral thing. And once everyone started talking about it and we saw folks in Minneapolis starting to protest, I was on Twitter like the entire day. Like I couldn't leave my phone. I was just like, this is this, and I'm so upset about this, but I have nothing, profound to say because I was also very drained just from the other killings as well. So we talked about Ahmaud, we talked to Breonna Taylor. And so having all of that happen while we're still quarantined was just a lot for me. And so I found myself tweeting like, give to these orgs, do this, you need to show up, show up, show up. And I was just like, I've written for Teen Vogue before. So then I went on Twitter and I was like, someone should hire me to write a piece about this. And then I was like at Teen Vogue. And then one of the editors actually emailed me and was like, just let me know what you're thinking. And so I outlined the piece. I never usually outline, but I wanted to be very clear in this piece. And so I just started with bullet points and I wrote a topic sentence and a closing. And she was like, a bulleted list in this time would be so helpful. And so I ended up doing a piece that just gave action steps. And I felt like there was really, we don't need another theory. We don't need another long conversation about, intellectual topics. We just really need action steps at this point. And so I was really grateful for Teen Vogue for offering that space.
It is really important to have these kind of bulleted steps of, hey, this is an overwhelming problem, but you can help and you can contribute and you can do these different things. So that was super helpful for me. So thank you for writing that. But I want to talk about it a little bit more in depth. So you have all these bulleted points. You have educate yourself. You have invest time and resources to on the ground efforts. You have get involved locally, uplift and center the voices of the most marginalized people, and then take action in your own life. All really, really, important and interesting topics, and you kind of go more into how to do each one, right? Or different ideas on how to do each one. So the list that you came up with, educate yourself, I was really, really engaged with that. I think Michelle Alexander and the New Jim Crow is like such an important piece of work. And so those authors or those writers, was that a group of people that you have found over the years? Are some newer than others that you have found? Like, how did you make that list?
Yeah, so I actually, I saw Angela Davis when she came to speak in Charlottesville a couple of years ago. So that was exciting. And I had heard about Angela Davis before, but it wasn't until she came and I heard her speak that I was like actually reading her books. And so I also had the privilege of taking an African American Studies class during my first year at UVA. And some of the scholars listed there were on the syllabus of the class that I took. And it was a class on race, culture, and inequality. And so it was a really good class. And I just found myself for so long, like in K through 12 education, like we don't hear from a lot of Black scholars. And so we're not reading a lot of Black literature. And so taking that class was really important for me as a Black student to understand that we have our own scholarship. Like Black people, we have praxis, we have strategy that's been written down for a very long time. And so for an activist like myself or other organizers in the community to be able to connect with those writings gives us good guidance on what we should be doing now. And so I think just like really consulting and listening to Black scholars, Black activists, I mean, we are the experts on our own experiences. And so I just think that, it's really important to center those voices because they know the topics best.
So what are some, pointers or some things you can kind of tell people about getting involved locally, and also where they can do their research in investing their time and resources for different on the ground efforts?
Yeah, so I actually got my start in like leadership within my school. So like always running for student council and doing those types of things. But really my start in community work and better understanding the systems at play was going to city council meetings, getting involved in like public forums whenever there were public meetings, even about specific topics like zoning or how we can be more eco-friendly in our community, attending those types of events and learning who the leaders are in the community. For me, I started to build relationships with some of the city councilors or people who were nonprofit leaders in my city, because when you go to those meetings and you're a young person, people naturally want to hear what you have to say. Then you're able to kind of build those partnerships. And I really think that in community work, those partnerships and those relationships are so important. And so for grassroots organizers, when you're starting from the ground, like those relationships are what build a movement. And so even with writing the petition, that was a letter to the editor. So writing letters to the editor, op-eds, just different blogging, even about certain issues, you reach different people that you may not be able to reach at a public event. And so for me, it's really been utilizing the different avenues and channels of reaching people and building relationships. And then once you have those relationships, you can then say, okay, are you passionate about this topic? What can we do about it? Can we, organize for 10 people to show up and give a public comment at a public meeting? Can we organize for 10 people to give $5 to this organization so that they're able to do the work? Or how can we, facilitate conversations within our own neighborhoods and within our own communities? What are we saying when we go home? How are we having conversations with our parents to get them to then go to work and have conversations with their coworkers, or to get them to then have conversations with our grandparents or their friends? And so like literally that's grassroots organizing at its core. And so for me, I would always suggest that people find other like-minded people and link up with them and then work on the issues together.
I really want to thank you, because I feel like pieces like what you wrote for Teen Vogue and other things that you're doing have inspired these conversations. And I truly can't explain enough how important you are to a lot of people right now. So thank you for all the work that you're doing, because you truly are so incredible. And thank you so much for being on the show again. Guys, we have Zayana again one last week next week. Have a really impactful week. Take some of the things we talked about, implant it into your own week, and we're gonna talk about some how-tos next week on how to organize. Thanks, guys. Have a good week.